Market Vitals is live. Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Bob. How are you?
Oh, just couldn't be peachier if Peachy was in season. Peaches are in season somewhere. There's always a peach in season, Matt.
I love peaches, by the way.
Dude, peaches are for sure. I mean, they're delicate and they bruise easy, kind of like me. Very
Oh,
delicate.
you're talking about
bruise easy.
peaches. You're talking about peaches. I thought you were talking about peaches.
Matt, let's talk about peaches here. Speaking of peaches, I got to tell you, it's heartwarming, Matt, in the season of giving that Jim Harbaugh did this. You see these incredible contracts being signed, jumbo money being thrown out to college football coaches. Obviously, this guy's got to be post-up economic by now, right? I mean, Stanford, San Francisco 49ers, Michigan. I mean, how much could you possibly spend to live in Ann Arbor? I mean,
Eight kids or so, but yeah.
And he's given. What did he say? He's giving.
Well, if he wins out, you see there he's won the Big East, so he got 500,000. If he wins the Big Ten, he gets $1 million. If he makes it to a New Year's Eve bowl, which now is pretty much assured, he's got 200. So there's 700 guaranteed. If he wins the Big Ten championship Saturday, that's another $1 million. Then if he makes it to the semifinal, 500 grand. And if he wins it all, $1 million. So basically he's got, it looks like, guaranteed 700 today. If he wins Saturday, another $1 million. And then if he wins out, another $1.5 million. So a total of 3.2 that he's talking about giving away to people that were affected by not being able to work during the COVID last, couple years. So good for him, because there's a lot of people that are involved with any, football program that really, are just hanging on to the edges. They're not paid highly like this. So it's great to see, the people that work in the stadiums and the people that serve the food and, the organizations that missed out on all that money last year, obviously, of not having any fans. I mean, that's a huge thing.
Well, good for him. Good for him.
Uh-huh. Well, his dad taught him well. He said his dad taught him well. He told you to shave your face. Look at you. You're a handsome young man.
He did. Military grade personal appearance protocol at Western Michigan University. Circa 1982, definitely.
You're 1 degree from Jim, from either his father or me. So good for you.
I have had a conversation with his father. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Semi-naked in a locker room, by the way. Anyway, a story for another day.
Was there talcum involved, like Larry David on Curb Your Enthusiasm?
No. All right, speaking of psilocybin, Matt, New York now is suffering a seriously bad trip. If you are a vendor in New York City, you're down 6 million visitors a month. It's unbelievable too how they just keep pressing. They just keep pressing on this. Like, it's unfucking real. Now the representative out of California, shaming you that his kids are in danger because you won't get fucking triple jabbed. And then the MP, I believe it was out of England, talking about that we'll have a 3-month cycle on jabs every 3 months. Sign up, let's go, let's get her done.
Already on.
But here we like talking about numbers, and this is the policy, this is the protocol, and this is the results. 6 million visitors a month not going to New York City. And Florida above their 2019 levels of people visiting the land of the free, home of the brave. What's Florida's the Sunshine State for sure? Still seeing people come and visit.
The sunshine
travel.
Yeah, well, but travel, it's interesting because, I think what you are, and then I read an article this weekend it was an outdoor mag, and it was talking about ski towns and how effed they are because there's no housing. I mean, and you see it in our ski town, right? You've had all these people move from the cities, including New York. I mean, I've met a number of people that have moved here from the East Coast, which, by the way, you don't fit here, so go back there. But it's there's a lot of interesting economics playing out locally in a lot of these, areas, but in the big cities, people have left. And, look at the stuff that's happening, not only in New York, Bob, but look what's happening in San Francisco. Pelosi she's buying a place in Florida. the crime and the rampant, like, just people coming into stores and taking everything they want. I mean, there was a couple of pictures I saw overnight. I think I might have sent it to you with the boarded up.
Oh yeah, the San Francisco just boarded up
boarded up, high end stores, from the different high end stores that people are just coming in and smashing and grabbing. So that's going to start to show, and it's interesting. And I'm going to lead into a good price discovery, because this is a name we've followed for a while, and we've talked about it. Dillard's. One day you're going to wake up and this thing's going to be $200. Well, it's $287, Bob, and 2 days since I've said this, $415 down to $287. I don't know what else I can do for you. I pretty much nailed the timing on it.
Listen, Matt, we're not in the season of being offended. All right, we're in the season of gratitude.
But I think
thank you for sharing, and we've been sharing right sides continually here, and the stock market may be showing a few signs of a right side developing. But yeah, I mean, retail, the chart speaks for itself.
Well, it went insane, and now you've lost $3 billion in 2 days. I mean, talk about, and it will be a zero eventually. I mean, why would, there's no reason to have a Dillard's when you can buy everything online. So anyways, it's just interesting, because this is starting to show in retail, and we've talked about that retail show that once again, and that continues lower here, down another, and again, these are huge moves, Bob, huge moves. This has already traded 3 million shares today from 104 on that breakout. And again, remember, we were watching this like area that we were in, it broke out just for a week or two and then rolled back over. This is a total trap. When this falls below 85, 86, night, right, it's going to trade right back to 84, and that will be full on recession when that starts to roll over. So you're still okay. You're still in the bracket, but watch out. And it's interesting that this kind of mirrors the Russell too. I'd like to look at that to see if that's back in this zone also that we've been talking about for the whole year. And sure enough, it has. So again, we broke out for a little bit, sucked them in, all the breakout. It's too late to be a breakout buyer. And now it's time to be a breakdown seller. So switch your hat. Go dark side.
Matt, speaking of hats, my Manja TV, not our political slogan, but just the regular Rub Me Shrimp Mojo hat. And you can get it at Redbubble. Search Manja TV, Rub Me. And we have a Rub Me Brandon one also, but that's a story for another segment. Matt, speaking of getting rubbed, and speaking of Rub Me Brandon, this administration just doesn't seem to be able to get out of its way. I understand tariffs, but I thought our Canadians were friends here. And now the Biden administration doubles tariffs on Canadian lumber, raising prices on already through the roof cost inputs for building houses. The article shared from our friend Jeff at Points and Figures, a Wall Street Journal article, but a great segue into the price discovery of lumber. We haven't talked about it in a while. It was a great story while it was parabolic and then right-sided. Bring it up and let's talk lumber.
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to talk about here. I don't see it getting over $900, and it's sitting here at $824.50 here today, up another 3.78%. And don't forget that it rallied, or it has rallied, almost doubled off that 440 level that was the low that it got here in August. So this, you can say this looks great, and maybe you're putting in a bottom, but again, you look at the long term. This is done. Like, it's right-sided. It's bouncing. It's a dead cat bounce. It's not going to get over this leftover area here from 950, Bob. And this is just pure price action. And you can tell this, again, it's a bullish chart as long as it stays above 328. And if you bought it down there, but nobody did. The problem is nobody trades lumber until it goes to 1700. Then they buy it. Then they watch it go to 400. So, but more importantly, with that, I was talking about this pregame. The housing index, HGX, the Philly housing index, is not looking so good. And I wanted to bring that up here real quick just to kind of show you that it is kind of rolling over here again. So even though, and you can really see it in the last few days, if I bring up a short-term chart, this has really rolled over. So you have this disparity going on with housing getting hit because as you said, like the new housing sales has slowed way down. It's going to become a factor. And, this high that we saw here just a couple weeks ago at 512, we're already down to 483, which is, a solid, we're talking 30 points. So this is about a 6% sell-off already in less than, not much more than a week, considering it was a holiday period that came in. So now that the liquidity comes in, you start looking at the longer term charts. Again, this is a daily chart. We've kind of been bracketed like a lot of things. We're kind of in that range here, 514 down to 440-ish. So that 70-point range, when that breaks, Bob, the next level, again, 615, if it breaks above 550, or 625. And if it breaks below the 440 level, you're looking at about 365 down in here, which lines up nicely with that, kind of that high that you saw in the summer of 20. So that would be the next level there on the housing. And obviously that's made of companies like DHI, Horton, Toll Brothers, Navarre, et cetera, all the usual suspects when it comes, Pulte Homes, et cetera. So those are the companies that make up much of the housing index. This does not look good to me, Bob. So, and as I said, the lumber is just looks nothing but a dead cat. Meow.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the news that gives you that pump, and I wouldn't be surprised if it pumps a little further with people on this story. But the underlying fundamentals, with everything else rising price wise, I just think the fundamentals aren't great for that continued story. Anyway,
I agree with you.
We wanted to, I wanted to tell an inappropriate joke, if I could. Did you watch the greatest Saturday Night Live skit I played yesterday? I'm telling you, my fucking internet is so terrible right now. How about technology? I am using my phone as my hotspot because my cable internet, Ben Broadband, is so fucking brutal that I couldn't watch anything. Anyway, Matt, I'm sharing here, and this is from our friend Ben Hunt, and he's a big pro-vaccine guy. And this is where the breakdown is, right? Because he said in an earlier or later tweet from this, there's nobody more pro-vax than I am. But when I represent science and criticism of me is dangerous, talking about Fauci, he's like questioning this whole, just everybody's an ad salesman. The whole thing is ads, right? And science. And we've brought it up. We've talked about it. Neither one of me and you are doctors, but there's plenty of evidence out there that maybe he should be talking about obesity, vitamin D, nasal rinses.
Talk about that stat you gave me yesterday about the average weight of the Americans.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. Average American male, 200 pounds. Me and you blasting over that, keeping that average up.
Yeah.
Right. Average American female, 170 pounds, right? In France, they're 30 pounds lighter on both ends. The average male, 170, average female. We're a bunch of fucking slobs in this country. Let's just call it what it is. But let's also call the fact that this guy doesn't get to say that he represents science and criticizing.
Well, not only that, but if you watch that little segment that is played there, he goes on to politicize January 6th and Ted Cruz. Like Ted Cruz says Fauci needs to go to jail, and then Fauci bites his lip and looks like he's so nervous, and then he says, "Yeah, talking from Ted Cruz after the insurrection." Like, what do you have to do with anything about January 6th? That's all I got to say. Who cares?
Matt, let's
seriously, if that's where you're going to go, Fauci, he lost respect for me. I don't know 2 years ago. So,
well, the thing is,
1980s when he led the AIDS debacle. I mean, go look it up, people. It's out there. Like you said, the truth is out there. The guy's been a fraud his whole life. So if you want to keep buying it, go for it. But yeah,
we're going to look at the jab stocks because a jab every 3 months should be better for their stocks, right?
Well, yeah, but that leads.
Well, wait a second before you go there, because the tack is the word definitely. Like the only way out of this is definitely everybody needs everybody needs a vax, right? Matt, back in the day, there was this joke thread, and it was a Dirty Ernie jokes. Are you familiar with Dirty Ernie?
No, I'm really not.
Dirty Ernie's like a sixth, seventh grader, and he's just foul mouthed, and he's a problem child.
Gotcha.
And the teacher doesn't really like calling on Dirty Ernie because it's always a disaster in the classroom, right? So they're using the word definitely, and they're using it in a sentence, right? So the teacher calls, and Ernie right away is like, I got a sentence, but definitely. She's like, I can't call on Ernie. So she goes, Susie, use the word definitely in a sentence. And Susie says, the sky is definitely blue. And the teacher says, well, that's really good, Susie. But sometimes the sky is gray. So, Ernie again, calls on Billy. Billy, use the word definitely in a sentence. And he says, what is it? The grass is definitely green. She said, well, we're coming into winter here and the grass dies and it turns brown. So it's not definitely all the time green. Ernie's out of his mind by this point. And she's like, you know what? I just got to call him. Ernie, what's your sentence? And he says, Teach, let me ask you a question first. After you fart, do you feel moisture in your pants? And she says, no. And he goes, well, then I definitely just shit my pants. Anyway, it goes to the narrative here that definitely our only way out is everybody jabbed every 3 months. And the whole thing is just falling apart. Even Ben Hunt is like, this is fucking ridiculous. And he's a total pro-vaccine guy. I don't know, man. Let's look at the price discovery because again, who cares what me and you think?
Well, we didn't talk. We talked about it briefly yesterday, but we had to gap up obviously on Moderna yesterday. And we had talked about this last, when it was trading down here at 230, 240, that this thing could trade to 375. That's where I would sell it. Thank you, the Omicron, because I was not expecting the Omicron to come on Friday, obviously. So, but sometimes gifts just fall into your lap. And this ran right up to the 375, filled that gap, by the way. This was the broken gap, filled it. So that one's done. Check that one off your gap village statement there, Bob. But that's a great trade. You just want that gap to fill, especially after it had just run $160 on nothing. And it ran because of that news. And then last night, the Moderna, while we're all sleeping, somebody over in Europe is interviewing the CEO of Moderna, and he says the vaccines don't work, or at least they're not working as efficiently as we thought they would. So, especially
against the Omicron variant.
Correct. That is what he said. So this got hammered this morning, and if you look at the intraday, this is the day to take it off. You get news 2 days in a row, bang bang. You take it off right on the open, 335s. You made $40. You made 10% in 24 hours, Bob. I don't know what else to tell you. Again, there you go. Served up.
Matt, you sound condescending.
I know. I'm just, because I mean, it's a gift. I mean, thankfully, you can trade these stocks. It's a gift. I'm very grateful for the idiocy.
Definitely.
I'm grateful for the idiocy out here. We are on the right side of the parabola. Nothing has changed. Now, if this thing starts trading over 400 and there's another variant, whatever, there's going to be all this. This stock will continue to be in play for years. Looks like to me.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
And it's thin, even though it's traded 14 million shares. It's still not, widely held at 104. It's worth today still $141 billion. Good Lord.
All right, Matt.
A year ago,
settled.
Good 1 year ago, Bob, that did not exist. Let's talk a little Bitcoin, because we haven't talked about it in the last couple of weeks. After it's been falling down, running up, falling down. Let's talk a little Bitcoin. What do you say?
Let's talk Bitcoin. Why wouldn't we? Matt, the thing that's important for everybody to understand is we got an end of a month here, right? We got a monthly roll coming tomorrow.
Right.
We are huge in talking about fractals all the time, right?
Yes.
You got a fractal in and fractal out. And while we're on that subject, the most dangerous thing you can do as a trader is put on a trade with a time frame involved, right? And then fractal out as it goes against you for your risk.
Right.
Wait a second. I should be out of this trade, but let me go to a longer time frame and see where the real risk. I've gotten in more trouble in my trading career fractaling out on risk. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. But we got a monthly in Bitcoin. And, I said it the other day, I really think this thing trades sideways. I'm going to reanalyze that range. I think we're in a 44,000 to 68,000 or 64,000, 44 to 64. We might trade that all of 2022. That's what I think.
Yeah,
44,000, 64,000, ping pong.
Well,
and
I would even say 40 to 75, right? Even down in there. Let me bring up a chart here real quick. This is a 89 minutes, so hour and a half bars basically. And I've got a little trend line that I drew just on these top. We're tickling that today. We actually bounced above it yesterday or this morning, overnight, whenever it was, 59,527. I would probably look to, resell this again, 61 to 65. If I got a bounce today there, that's again today. But whether or not we see that, we're red again, 57.3. Looks like it's rolling back under that line. Couldn't really hold it. The trend is clearly down, right, for right now, for the short term. And to me, I still can, fractal out again. I still see this is it was a pretty sharp move up and really a double top, although it chunked over.
It over really, a little bit, but yeah, generally,
it didn't hold. It didn't hold. So to me, this still looks like, Bob, I still think, honestly, we could trade back down to 35 pretty easily and still be bullish above this little bracket that we were lost in. So that would shake out a lot of people that got long and those extra $5,000 that chased that again. Momentum. This is not a momentum market except on the right side.
And where's that high of that profile? Around that 44,000
right here
area, correct?
Right here.
Is that 44? No, the high. I mean, the high of that profile.
Yeah, 46, 47. Yeah. Yep.
Right on. Okay.
And that will surely be tested. Maybe by the end of the year, if not early first quarter. And again, that can happen in a day in this stuff. I mean, you know how pet rocks trade. But I think if you could pick this up here around 35,000, that might be a good area for you. You got a lot of support. You got a lot of friends down in that lower, friends in low places down there.
I got lots of friends in low places. Man, let me share on a monthly fractal. I just want to look at two charts. Because the month is ending, and this is a textbook doji candle for wheat. This is these wheat futures on a monthly basis.
Wow, they've gotten rocked today.
Yeah, you cannot go into a candlestick book and look for a better candlestick doji than they are putting in here in D Suite. It was shared or highlighted from Momar, Mr. Commodity on Twitter to point it out. But you got to look at the monthly rolls and look at what these charts are doing. Very important to look at that monthly basis. So that's incredibly not bullish for D Suite to put that in. The other one I want to look at is the spruce here because we've been talking about it and it's pretty good too. I don't know. We're still for sure not on a right side in any of these. No, I'm going to take that back. Look at the difference here between the SPOOs. And then what is the Russell? Let's just do those two.
RTY.
The Russell.
RTY.
What is it?
RTY.
RCY.
RT.
Ruddy.
TT.
There we go. Come on. Again, dude, I mean, can somebody please help me out with the technology? And there's the Russell. I mean, that's even worse. I mean, it's engulfing the entire 7-8 months just about.
Yeah, this was a big move.
So it is rounding. Those bands are rounding, being affected by this. It's a developing story as always, Matt. And we for sure aren't on the right side yet in any of these, but it is developing. Just like you see on all these individual symbols, the story is developing. And then the nail in the coffin, from my point of view, was somebody shared JP Morgan's outlook for 2022 being extremely bullish for all equities. So, they need their retail people to pile in so they can short it. I don't know. That's just me talking out loud. It might not be true, but it for sure looking.
Well,
like
just like Goldman's, the Santa Claus Thanksgiving rally is going to come, blah, blah, blah. We need something to sell into. Selling's been pretty heavy the last week. I mean, look at last night on the SPOOs. They take them down on the MRNA news. They take them down 1,500. or rather about 150 points. We went from 400 down to 250, and then they take them back up. By the time I wake up, they're back at 400. I'm like, sweet, sell them again, 400 to 450. And
dude,
now,
I gotta tell you, we're
now
gonna have a great losers bracket for the month of December. This stuff, I don't see how it just goes flatline. I think the volatility stays in for the rest of the year, and 2022 might be the greatest trading year in a generation.
You know, I wouldn't argue that. It could be one of the things I want to look at since we were talking about Bitcoin. Look at this move on Ethereum again today. I'm a seller. As a matter of fact, I just sold some at 46.05 or so. It got up to 47.80 this morning. I missed that spike. I really didn't have any alerts set. I'm going to have to set another one up here. But that thing just makes, I mean, if Bitcoin is red, why is this green in a big way today? 3.5%. I'm not following the Reddit bros.
You know, I listened to just, you know, how they have these new thing on Twitter with it's just audio on, is that Spaces or fucking, I don't know what the fuck it is.
Okay.
It's something on Twitter where
Okay.
it's like a radio broadcast, basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it was a one about NFTs, and most of these NFTs are on the Ethereum blockchain. And there's a thing called gas fees. It's like the fee that you have to pay the network to have something put on the blockchain, right? And they're saying there's still a long-term problem with Ethereum. Like, how can you pay $80 in gas fees for, let's just call it a piece of music NFT that you buy for $10 or something?
Right.
I mean, it's still, the network is still nowhere near being able to be massively adopted. And so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they solve it. I know that it's been in the vernacular, and people have been talking about it for years now on how do you scale with that type of cost. And I had it myself, man. One time I wasn't paying attention. Same thing. I was trying out a new crypto platform, right? And I wanted to send some Ethereum there, and I didn't pay attention. And I wanted to send $20 in Ethereum, and I ended up costing me $71 because it was $51 in gas. And I'm like, how is this ever going to be a long-term success? Or I just got, and it was my fault, but I for sure got shaken down for $51 that I didn't need.
It's like exchanging money. Like, it's the dumbest thing ever.
I don't know.
It's like, what it's duty free. It's like going back to
somewhat duty free.
Duty free.
Yeah. Yeah. My pants weren't duty free, just like Ernie. Definitely.
Hey,
all right, man. Anything else?
Yeah, I got one. We've talked about Ford a little bit in the past and how I like the right side of it coming into the year. Let me give you a little update on that because there's still time. And we were selling this in the high 19s, early mid 20s, 20 and a half area. And this today is a new thing. It's kind of really rolling over here a second time. And 19.15 down 50 cents. Again, this is for you uninitiated shorts who don't really like to short. This is, to me, I think, a pretty easy short because it's not going to double. Ford's not going to double. I don't see, it could, but why would Tesla buy Ford? What are they going to get from Ford that they don't already have? Like, they have more money. They're 10x Ford in their market, 12x, 14x. So what would they get out of Ford that they can't do by themselves? Not only
that, I mean, do you think if he makes a play like that, the federal government will step in and say,
for sure,
there's got to be some antitrust shit that
yeah, I mean, it's already an oligopoly, right? So yeah, you're going to make it tighter? No, they're not going to do that.
But it's a particularly brutal profile.
It's not good. It's going to trade to 15. It's going to trade to 12 probably, especially if we start seeing dark days, like you're saying, with what we're seeing coming out in retail and starting to show. I mean, it's showing itself already. If you're not opening your eyes, I'm just pointing out the fact that the right side after the run we've had in retail this year is starting to show itself. Higher prices are only good for profits for so long. Then people run out of money and they can't buy your products. Then you get into price reductions and chasing the price down the other way. So it's not fun. It's not going to be, and then you have obviously all the supply constraints, chips, blah, 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 on and on and on. So I would not be thinking that, we're not going to double again next year in the NASDAQ. We're not going to go from 16 to 32,000. Sorry. It's just not going to happen.
All right, Matt. All right, please join us at marketvital.io. Available every day. We have a trading sheet on 80 plus commodities and commodity spreads. along with the top cryptos and crypto crosses, and also access to two of the great commodity minds of all time, Miss Trade Matt Davio, Bob Heffernan, HFR, here to serve, Matt.
Oh, and just one more, just to look at it real quick here about GM, because we talked about it. I do not have a position, but it has given you already a great trade. 65, same area that Ford was selling, all the way down here to 58. Again, this stuff is, people aren't going to be rushing out. They're already limited in their supply of cars, and people don't. I mean, I told you the other day, I tried that app Vroom, and by the way, we would love to have you sponsor us. Vroom.
I want a vroom, vroom.
But I put my almost 4-year-old new car, into their little algo. It said, "Oh, give us your VIN, give us, all the information. We'll give you a price that we will come and pick up your car in the next 48 hours." Bob, they offered me, more than I would pay for the car, like by 5 or 6,000. Yeah. I mean, but then again, how do you go out and find a used car? Because the entire market's muddled up right now. So that's the problem with it. Like, you're going to have to pay.
You like to walk, and you're a fat fuck. You need to walk, right?
I walk every day. Yeah.
Enough of the body shaming, HFR. Enough of the body shaming. I only say it because I got more chins than a Chinese phone book. But anyway, it's a story for another time. Matt, thank you so much.
Are you going to be
a shout out to Lee, right? Don't we have to shout out to Lee and the Jets tripling the Lions wins?
Yeah,
I mean, we have to say it, right?
No, tripling the Lions ties.
That's true. I'm sorry. Tripling the Lions ties.
Because Bob, 3 times 0 equals
0. I'm sorry.
I
was not a math major.
Yeah,
I find math very difficult. It's why commodities are such a challenge for me. All right, pal. Hey, please share, retweet the podcast. If you podcasted or are on podcasting, listening only, definitely missing out on a couple of gorgeous faces. But please share the podcast far and wide also. And if you have any questions on a particular issue that's tradable or not tradable, we will discuss amongst ourselves. Coffee talk here on Market Vitals anytime you want.
Coffee.
All right, Matt, thank you much.
Thank you, Bobby. Have a great rest of your morning and a beautiful, beautiful afternoon.